Okay, let's dive into this. 53 years, that's quite something.
It really is.
A piece of a Soviet probe, Cosmos 482, just splashed down in the Indian Ocean.
After orbiting Earth since 1972. Amazing.
It was never meant to stay here, was it? It was heading for Venus.
Exactly. Part of the Venera program,
Yeah.
They were aiming for Venus like Venera 8, which actually made it around the same time.
Right, Venera 8 landed, sent back data, a big deal for the Soviets then.
Absolutely. And Cosmos 482 was kitted out similarly. Temperature sensors, pressure sensors.
Accelerometers, too, I think, to measure the descent into Venus's atmosphere.
Correct. All launched on a Molniya rocket from Baikonur, March 31st, 72.
So, ambitious tech for the time, but then something went wrong.
Yeah, the upper stage, the Block L stage.
That gives it the final push.
That's the one. It malfunctioned. Didn't achieve escape velocity.
So instead of heading out to Venus...
It got stuck orbiting Earth. The main bus and the lander separated, apparently.
And it was the lander module that stayed up there, the descent module.
Yes, that robust part. The bit designed to survive Venus. It just kept circling.
For 53 years. It's just hard to wrap your head around.
Well, think about what it was built for.
In Venus. Extreme conditions. What was it, like 500 Celsius?
Not the 500 C, yeah. And pressure over 90 times what we have here on Earth. Insane.
So the irony is, the very thing that made it tough enough for Venus...
is what let it survive so long up here is, well, unintended space debris.
a very, very long-lasting piece of space debris.
And then May 10th this year, 2025, it finally came down.
Splashed down in the Indian Ocean west of Jakarta.
Right. And space agencies were watching it. Space.com reported on it.
Which must have been fascinating in itself, seeing something that old re-enter.
Definitely. A rare chance to observe how hardware that's been up there for, half a century behaves coming through the atmosphere.
You'd think it might just burn up completely after all that time. Did parts survive?
It seems likely parts made it to the ocean, that robustness again.
Which gives us data, right? Even in failure.
Oh, absolutely. This whole thing is a learning opportunity. Analyzing its trajectory, how it decayed.
And thinking about the materials, how they held up after decades of radiation, temperature changes.
Exactly. It's like an accidental long-duration exposure test.
It also kind of highlights the whole space debris problem, doesn't it?
It really does. A 50-year-old piece finally coming down reminds us how much stuff is up there and why we need better ways to, track it and maybe deorbit things safely.
So it never got to Venus, but its long goodbye taught us something else entirely.
Pretty much. A Cold War mission finding its end in our modern space age. It failed its primary mission, sure, but its extended stay became its own story.
A story about resilience, orbital mechanics, and maybe the ghosts of the space race still circling overhead.
Well put. It shows how even mission failures can give us valuable, if unexpected, insights.
So the big takeaway here, a Venus probe's failure turned into this decades-long, unplanned lesson in material science and space debris.
That sums it up well.
And it makes you wonder, what else is up there? What other failed missions might still be circling, waiting to tell their own unexpected story someday?
That's a great thought to leave people with. That curiosity is what drives exploration.
Definitely.
And, if you are curious about these kinds of incredible space stories, the SpaceInfo Club is a really good place to explore that further.
Oh, yeah.
They offer free courses, everything from space physics to, the business side of space. You get expert guidance. It's just www.spaceinfo.club.
Good resource for people wanting to dive deeper.
Yeah, great for exploring more space tales and connecting with others who find this stuff as fascinating as we do.